All right, and what's the deal, family? It is another exciting episode of the Start at 5. You don't need no part in the interruption. You don't need no first take. None of that. Or around the horn, because you got the most intelligent panel of sports knowledge right here. The Starting Five, or who I like to call the Four Horsemen. I'm former WCTI sports anchor Lane Fobbs, joined by DeMarcus Brodin. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, Lane?
Andrew Holly. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Nothing much, man.
Timothy Sheely. What's good?
Chilling, man. What's the deal?
Real good, man. Our other brother, Marcus Griffin, can't make it, man. I think he got a clean room. I don't know. I don't want to put him on blast like that, but he can't make it. But he'll be back. He'll be back in our next episode. But wanted to get into some more
DNP.
Yeah, DNP. Yeah. He need to do like the Spurs do, DNP-old or DNP-cut grass.
Yeah.
Something like that.
He Chandler Parsons tonight.
There you go.
Chandler Parsons, he out.
Yeah. I guess he felt like he needs to join them. But he might be at the game. He might be at the game, man.
Yeah, he
Maybe
could
he got
be
some last minute
sneakers
tickets.
trying to get some coverage in.
Yeah, man. But before we we'll talk about this game in the next episode, Game 2 tonight. Hopefully the Rockets can pull it out. They are facing Dallas. They want to go back up to I-45 north to the Big D, up 2-0. But we're going to talk some NFL draft tonight, family. Now we started a little bit on our last episode breaking down the AFC South and what those draft needs were. But we're going to jump now to kind of do division by division. And we did AFC South. Let's do their cross-conference counterpart. Let's do the NFC South. Somebody won that division, right? Somebody did, didn't they? Somebody kind of backed into it.
Somebody had to win, I guess.
The Panthers.
Yeah.
Bally, back to back. The first time championship out the NFC South went back to back.
Everybody's been alternating every year for 10 years, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Since his arrival, they've been going back to back. Nobody's went back to back the first time.
Yeah. NFC South was definitely a special needs conference last year. You know, when Tampa Bay is still in it past October, you know that's kind of a problem, even if it's mathematically. But let's start there. Let's start there, family, because the NFC South does contain the team with the number 1 pick, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now they have an emerging wide receiver star in Mike Evans down there. Shout out Texas A&M. Galveston Ball, what up? But they need a quarterback, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Up here, NC State's Mike Glennon. Not the answer. Sam Houston State's Josh McCown, not the answer. Shout out Bearcats. But where do you see them going with this number 1 pick? Everyone's saying Jameis Winston. But I want to ask you all 2 questions. Each of you take this. Do they take Jameis Winston with the number 1 pick? And B, more importantly, what does the rest of their draft plan look like? Because you got to fill a lot of holes down there in Tampa Bay.
Right. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you have to go Jameis Winston. I mean, I feel like he's passed every test that they threw at him this offseason. And, I mean, now you're established yourself because the Buccaneers never had a true franchise quarterback. They always had average quarterback play with your Brad Johnsons. One year they had Jeff Garcia lead them to the playoffs. And they always
forget Josh Freeman.
He was mental. No, please, let's forget Josh Freeman.
But they got to go Jameis first. I think in that second round they're gonna have to solidify the offensive line. Like I was talking to Tim, his teammate is gonna be available. Cameron Irvin, 6'5", about 315. You know, big body. They're gonna have to get somebody that's gonna be able to protect Jameis. And then after that, they're probably gonna have to get somebody to go along. Greg McCoy, to just get him some help on the pass rush and interior. So they're gonna have to solidify the defensive line. Maybe around there they got a Florida product, Anthony Calico.
Yeah.
They also got another tackle they could go with in Leon Orr. So they definitely have to get some offensive line help and then someone else to go along their defensive line.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think everybody has consensus that it's Jameis Winston. Because right now in the NFL, you can't win without a quarterback. And that NFC South is really for the taking. And anybody can take that. This is the first year that it's back to back, so anybody can win it. And I kind of see the same thing. Them going with Jameis first round, second round. definitely need to address that offensive line. I've seen Eric Flowers, which is a really big offensive tackle prospect.
Yeah,
that's
6'6" by 330 coming out of Miami, I believe.
Yeah, Miami. He's on everybody's board. So he's a real big prospect. And then, like DeMarcus alluded to earlier, another just edge rushers, and it looks like they're going to get 2 edge rushers in back-to-back rounds, or what they would like to. But honestly, you're going to see them go offensive line and defensive line, and then maybe a secondary and interior lineman as what their team needs. So, and that's if they're going to get Jameis Winston, because you can easily trade out of it if they're right off the front.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the thing, you never know.
That's what I've been hearing, actually looking into it today. It's said that they are listening to trade offers, and if they feel that they have one that's too good to turn down, then they may take it. But as far as I'm concerned, you gotta eat Jameis Winston. Even if you go a Marcus Mariota, you gotta take your quarterback and solidify that position. I mean, I don't know what offers could be too good to refuse, but man, you got to take your quarterback with your first round pick and try and build around that.
But I mean, when you're in the Bucs position, it's not really a lot of win now moves you can make. I think you in a quarterback that you got to look at it. It's probably going to have the most talented quarterback group in the NFC South. When you talk about Cam Newton, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and maybe Jameis Winston, you have to get a big time name back there to solidify that spot with the Bucs.
And apparently the Jets, and like I said, this is all rumors, so you really can't hold any weight to this. But apparently the Jets, because they have a new GM who's been making crazy moves, and apparently he wants to be ultra aggressive and maybe looking to get that number 1 pick. I know earlier this morning, ESPN, Mike had the New York Jet beat writer, and everything he's been hearing has been saying they looking like they may trade up for that 1 or 2 spot. Maybe the 2 spot, and it was easier to trade for that 2 spot because whoever trades is only going to drop down to 6 pick. So it's easier for the Titans to go down to the 6th pick instead of the 12th or 17th or something like that.
Because then that way the Titans will still be able to get a top 10 talent while also adding other pieces.
Yeah, so you never know. The draft is crazy, but like I say, and what everybody else is saying, all signs look like it's going to be Jameis Winston, number 1 overall pick.
Okay. And so, let's move on to a team that I'm familiar with, and that's the Carolina Panthers. Now, they're the team that stumbled backwards into the playoffs. It seemed like every day was some different drama with Cam Newton, whether our brother was hurting from his back or in a car accident. Something crazy was always happening. And by the way, let me tell you, if you're a brother up here, you can get into some crazy stuff if you're not careful. So I kind of identify with our brother Newton. But he was able to make some moves. I still think they need some wide receiver help. They got to fill way more holes. They brought in Peanut Tillman, a native Texan from the Chicago Bears. But I think a little more needs to be done. Now, what I want to ask you guys, obviously, what is their draft plan? But another thing, looking at the running back position, Todd Gurley might be there for them. Todd Gurley, who is from North Carolina, do you see them going with him? And if you don't, then kind of break down what Carolina needs to do in a few days.
Well, they have, it's like you said, they are looking at receivers. They do need another threat for Cam. Kelvin Benjamin is a stud. He is a stud, but that's only him and Greg Olsen. So they're going to need some more help if you want Cam's passing game to evolve. But one of the biggest things is the Carolina Panthers maybe had one of the worst offensive lines this season.
Yeah, I think bringing in Michael Orr don't really booster that line too much
at all. And then they're at the end of the draft, so they're around pick 25. So they're pretty much going to be the same between pick 25 to all the way to 40, kind of the same guys that in the first round and second round talent. And honestly, this is probably the first year that there's not a lot of first round talent. There's a lot of second round talent that's going to be forced to be first round.
Yeah, so it's a lot of defensive linemen that should be going in the second round that may go to first round this year.
So it looks like they may go offensive line first. Eric Flowers, the guy from Miami, like I said, he's a stud right now. He's a top five offensive lineman. You always gonna need a tackle, especially if you got a guy who looks like he could be it for the next 10 years. Definitely look like they may go with a defensive lineman because you just lost your number one stud, who practically didn't play all season.
Yeah,
so
really 2 seasons removed.
Yeah, so I see them picking up a defensive lineman either first or second round. Kind of depends on who's the best player available. And then the rest of the draft is going to be mostly receivers, linebackers, defensive back. And the thing with the running back is that I don't see Carolina going early with the running back because they have, not going to say they have bigger holes, but with Cam Newton's running ability and he's going to be a threat, as long as they put a guy back there who's going to be consistent, I think they're not going to be a problem, especially in today's league. You got running backs coming out of nowhere.
Definitely, he's almost like a fullback in his own right. But a player that really sticks out to me and kind of in the same boat as Kelvin Benjamin, someone that slipped in the draft, would be Dorian Green-Beckham. I think there'll be a good little pickup for him to have Cam with 3 weapons that's over 6'4". Like, you just don't have a lot of talent like that unless your name is Jay Cutler, who we seen what he did with those weapons.
Yeah.
But you put Cam Newton around 3 players that's able coming down in jump ball situations. Now they become the first team that could go back to back to back in the NFC South.
And maybe they pick him up. Speaking of him, he's everybody's dark horse, but he has so many mental issues. And, you're talking about a guy, honestly, who came out of high school as the best player in college, player in high school.
Easy.
And, pretty much the best receiver in the SEC. He didn't have up the big numbers, but just you think about all the measurables, all the stats.
He
had it, but is there something really wrong with him mentally? So he's going to have to prove to a lot of people that he is, mental, he does have it and he wants to be in the NFL and it won't be a problem. But he's definitely going to be a good steal somewhere in the 6th, 7th round, 5th round, may go undrafted, but he'll definitely be a steal.
Right on.
Okay, going heavy there with definitely offensive line. That's the way that I agree, and that I think I asked Todd Gurley about Todd because a lot of people around here want him because obviously he's a hometown guy. But Cam Newton, there was one game Monday night, if you remember, sacked 8 times. So yes, if you don't want your,
and I think they need to protect their investment with Cam. I mean, last year he got beat up. Also coming off injury, you don't want your quarterback to go through all that punishment. You want to, give him some type of line that can hold up for him and let him work back there. Let him do something.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Hopefully they can keep him upright. Let's go over to the Saints. Right over there next door to us in the boot lies Drew Brees. Still got a good quarterback, and so it's always going to keep you in the game. But it's not your father's Saints team, so to speak. A lot of times the defense looked lost. The offense didn't seem to have quite the identity, although it was a solid year from Mark Ingram, former Heisman Trophy winner. We're just going to jump right into it. What do the Saints need to do in this draft, fellas?
I got them pretty much. Well, it's weird because they have 2 first-round picks because the one they picked up from the Seahawks.
Yep.
So also you're gonna look at them as they could be in there in that Mariota draft talk because they're the only team who has 2 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
So you could possibly see them moving up to try to grow something big. They already have the 13th and the 31st, so they could be enticing some people. But everything I see is this guy named Bud Dupree. Huge body out of Kentucky. He's on everybody's top board as an edge rusher. He's going to be a top 10, top 15 pick. He's pretty much on everybody's board after your Leonard Williams. And then you can see them possibly going offensive line because Drew Brees was not having a comfortable time this year. And that's kind of like you're going to kind of see that message all over the league right now because the Cowboys pretty much set the tone of what you can do with a good offensive line if you draft right. And so you're going to kind of see everybody follow that, hopefully get that Cowboys method and try to pick up these nice linemen for the future because, they have 3 all-pro linemen, which they gained 3 years. So you're going to see a lot of people try to follow that and try to get a running back after that. They're going to want to address tight end. I see them addressing tight end early.
And I probably have to agree with that because actually on their board for me, I got Max Williams out of Minnesota, 6'4" tight end, 250. Yeah. Miami also produced a decent tight end, Clive Walford.
Yeah, they have him in 3rd round is what they're saying.
And Michigan's Devin Funchess. So they have a few different targets they can go with as far as tight end. Now, if they're addressing the 1st round, I think there'll be a reach because, like you said, Clive would be available in the 2nd round or even at pick 31 or 44. So they can definitely always address the tight end at a later rate. But right now they need defensive pass rushers. You know, if at 13 they don't end up trading out, if Vic Beasley or Randy Gregory's there, that's also another good option for them to pick up. Just want to get on Bob Ryan's team just to play more aggressive. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
They need the linebacker help. The linebackers aren't getting any younger, and they were the worst defensive team on third down yet last year. So they're going to need some edge rushers. They're going to need some linebackers. They need to solidify their defense.
Exactly. All right. And let's move to this last team. You know, I say the most boring for last. You know, the Atlanta Falcons, because you know maybe you all agree or disagree, but ever since they got rid of Michael Vick, they've just been that generic malto meal that just ain't sitting there on the shelf. You know, it ain't no real flavor. Yeah, Matt Ryan's there. You've got a decent quarterback, but they just lack that identity. That's why they had to get rid of Mike Smith. You know, and it's for years, even when Michael Vick was there, this is just the most awkward team, man. I think they should do a hard knocks. That's who you need to do a hard knocks on, because that bland game, that's a play for us, the public and the media. There's a lot of BS going on in the background, but it's not like dramatic. It's like unnecessary BS, I feel like, for them. But with that said, let's break down the Falcons and their draft plan.
You know, when it comes to the Falcons, I think they're going to have to make another Julio Jones type splash. And what I mean by that is Todd Gurley. I think you got to take him. You got to take the hometown native. I think he's going to have the support of everybody in the Atlanta area. I mean, because he's right down the street playing ball. And I think they'll be the best bet if they don't get a talent like that. They may want to address their tight end situation also. I mean, they still haven't found a true replacement for Tony Gonzalez. And they always been weak in the middle. So I think they need to get a guard. Some late guards that could be available second or third round. You got Texas A&M's Jarvis Harrison, South Carolina's A.J. Cann, and also Florida State's Trey Jackson that can solidify the guard position, because they always talk about wanting to be more aggressive. And when you bring in a coach like Dan Quinn, he's going to want his boys in the middle to be protecting those running backs and those quarterbacks.
Yeah, I exactly agree. And it's funny that you said Todd Gurley, because they look like they may go the opposite and go Melvin Gordon in the second round, which, you know, I think nobody's going to pick a running back in the first round. If anything, it's going to be late first round. But I see both those guys going early second round. And it looks like one of them could drop all the way to Melvin Gordon, coming off Todd Gurley's coming off injury, which may put back some cats. And everybody's really liking the running backs from Boise State. He's coming up a lot of people's boards and could possibly, you know, be the number one running back taken. But I see them going edge rusher because their defense was lacking, and it looks like Dante Flower from Florida, huge on everybody's board. Really athletic, can play that edge, can play that 3-4, which everybody's playing. So he can play in and stand up at linebacker. And then pretty much just going running back and then a center lineman, because, you know, their offensive line play was once again atrocious, you know. And so,
I mean, when you combine that with Steven Jackson, it just made their running game look terrible. I mean, because even when Steven Jackson did have a clear hole, he wasn't explosive. And then when his linemen can't get off their blocks, Steven Jackson, he's jumbled up behind them, and that's how you end up with a negative game.
So I definitely see them. I definitely see them going right there. It's weird because, you know, we can say Dante Flower, but depending on what kind of trades happen, and then with them being at 8, I can also see them taking best player available, because on that top, when you're in the top 10 pick, you want to take best player available, which is, I feel like, is always the best. You know, because Alvin Dupree, that linebacker from Kentucky, he could be there. Shane Ray, Randy Gregory.
Y'all got to remember about Collins from Alabama, man. They could always use some safety help, especially in that division, someone that can actually be the quarterback of that defense. I mean, when you look at the Atlanta defense, they don't have a true leader. They've had a few good players, but they don't have a true leader. Collins is a true leader. He's someone that tailored his game next to Sean Taylor, who he called one of his favorite players. I think that'll also be a good boost if Atlanta really wants to solidify their defense, especially Dan Quinn coming from the Legion of Boom.
Well, I can tell you, and like I said, it's another team that has Landon Collins really high on their draft board. And you'll be surprised to hear what team that is when we get to that later on.
Okay.
No, don't say it. Don't say that. Oh man. With that, let's go to the AFC East. That is where we find the Super Bowl champions. I hate the Patriots. They cheat. If you cheer for the Patriots, you may as well go cheer for a lawyer when they win a court case, because they both basically dig deep in the rule book to find some BS to win. That's what they've done. I don't care what anyone else says. But let's just break down the Patriots. What should the defending champs do? Well, let me ask this: Who is the random no name that they make a star? Who's that next person?
Oh man, I think with the Patriots, as far as right now, they can go a bunch of different ways. I think that they still need to solidify the defensive tackle spot with Will Fork being gone. I also think that they could possibly go receiver. They need cornerbacks now. Davis and Brown are going to have to go ahead and find a cornerback. And running back, really, they need one. But Belichick can basically put anybody in and get a 200-yard game out of them. When we hang up after this, I actually have training camp to go to for a trial for running back.
Nice.
Oh, it's interesting, man. You know, I think the best thing that could happen to Bill Belichick in this draft is the dropping of Danny Shelton. Danny Shelton is a top prospect coming out of Washington, but he's been coming down the boards because they don't know if he can keep his weight up. But they said the same thing about Vince Wilfork when he was coming out of Miami, and look what kind of productive career he turned out for the Patriots. So I think Danny Shelton would be a top prospect to look for if he was able to drop to the 32nd pick. They also going to have to solidify the cornerback position. I don't know if they do it in the first round, but...
Well, they're supposed to be the stud. Byron Jones from UConn have a crazy pro day.
Exactly. So, 6'1", 200 pounds, but I think he ran about
42 inches, 4'3", 42-inch vertical, I think 12-foot broad jump. Just crazy.
So you put him with a talent like Devin McCourty, I'm sure he can take him under his wing and he can get everything going. And that'll probably be the next star that they make that no one really known of. And I know Belichick did his studying. He coming out of Connecticut.
And I was going to say, I like the guy from UConn. I actually got a chance to see him play up close when East Carolina played him. And ECU has a high-scoring offense. As bad as Connecticut was record-wise, that defense was able to shut their offensive attack down. They really were. It was looking, if it wasn't for those last 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, they would have pulled off a major upset, and it was large in part to him.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, it's the Patriots. You know, they're gonna draft well. They're gonna draft deep. They're gonna draft a bunch of guys nobody knows. But I really see them doing something offensive line wise. They're always looking to simplify that. They always do multiple lineups to find that right one for the postseason. Also see them going receiver, running back. They're going to pick up a running back every year, you know, just to see what they can do.
Oh, especially with the loss of Shane Vereen and Stephen Ridley, they definitely going to have to clear it up.
So, running back I have them looking at is a 4th-round pick, Mike Davis, South Carolina. Yeah. Not really too big of a splash, but good hands, good running ability. Can be a workhorse, but he's not going to be expected to. So you never know what he's going to do, and then, you know, just different receivers here and there, and they're going to try to find some type of tight end. They're going to try to find another stud tight end somewhere deep and around. But, you know, like I said, it's the Patriots, and the Patriots are going to find guys that nobody's even looked at and turn them into stars for them.
Exactly, man. Let's see. Let me pull out a name. Let's go fun first, man. Let's go Sexy Rexy and the Buffalo Bills, man. What do they need to finally get them back to the playoffs so that finally some kids can be born in an era where the Bills return to the playoffs? What needs to happen? And is our brother EJ the answer? Both those two questions.
No, not at all. I see them going quarterback. They need to go quarterback first. They're going to need offensive line. They're going to need a safety. They have a running back.
I mean, it's kind of tough to even say what they're going. They don't pick to 50, man. I mean, you got to realize when your whole draft board is thrown off because 49 of the players that you rating is not going to be there, and there's no way they're going to be able to trade back into this draft because it's purely a defensive draft, and that team they already have their defensive needs. Other than that, I mean, like you said, you're gonna have to take whatever quarterback is best available. Maybe Hundley will be there, or Bryce Petty.
Bryce Petty is one I'm seeing, but it's deep in the 2nd round, so yeah, you know, it's kind of hard who's gonna be there.
I think they did most of their work in free agency.
Which they knew.
Yeah, they knew they had to bring in whatever they could. That's why they made the splash with LaShawn McCoy, because they don't have a first round pick to go up there and hold the Bills jersey. They had LaShawn McCoy do it. So
That's
you can
basically
get
their first round pick.
So the Bills selected LaShawn McCoy for this draft.
But yeah, after that, like I said, I see them going quarterback. Could be one of the two quarterbacks. Offensive lineman, maybe another safety, and just linemen. This line.
I mean, they're still, and it's sad to say, they're still leaning their hopes that EJ Manuel can give them something. And I think next year their number one priority is going to be drafting a franchise quarterback, which they failed the last few.
Okay. All right, we did Buffalo Bills. Now let's go to Rex Ryan's former team, the Jets. Jets. Geno Smith, man. I got to say some words about Geno. Our brother tried. You know, there was that game against the Patriots on Thursday night. I truly felt like he wanted in his heart to win that game. It just wasn't going to happen for him, man. But, you know, Quentin Copeland was on that team. Shout out to Kinston, North Carolina. That's where he's from. Jets, man, they could go a lot of different ways, I feel like, as well. But I'm going to leave it to the panel. What does the trifecta have the Jets doing come April 30th?
Man, if it comes to the Jets, they're going to have to make a splash. I trade up to try to get Marcus Mariota. I don't know how much it'll take, but they have to do anything. They have to do anything they can. I mean, you already solidified your defense by signing Darrell Reeves and Antonio Cromartie, so now you have those one-on-one corners that can pretty much take out half a field, so your defense is okay. But Geno Smith is just not going to get it done. I mean, that game that you was talking about, they didn't let him pass into the fourth quarter. He threw an interception, and they still lost. They tried to run the ball for, I think, 2.5 quarters straight without a pass. So you have to answer the quarterback position. It don't matter who you draft. You have to bring someone in to compete with him. They tried to do it last year with Michael Vick, thinking that he'd take him on his wing. That just didn't work out. So you're going to have to bring someone in, or this team is going to struggle again on the offensive side. They do have Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker. They have an up-and-coming tight end that they drafted. I mean, what was his name? Jace Amaro?
Yeah.
So they have a few weapons on the offensive end, but they got to have someone that can get the ball in their hands. I mean, they got Ryan Fitzpatrick, but we've seen how that ended in Houston. Let's just be honest. If you know what you're going to get out of Ryan Fitzpatrick, and it's going to be below-average quarterback play. So with two below-average quarterbacks on your team, and this year may be the most open that the AFC East is going to have been in plenty of years. It's wide open right now, especially with all the losses that New England had. If it's going to be any year to try to make a complete turnaround for the Jets, it's going to come this year, and it's going to start with that number 6 pick and moving up and get Mariota.
Now, Andrew and Tim, I want to know, as DeMarcus said, that the Jets could try and trade up and take the Titans pick. If you're the Titans, what would it take for you to say, okay, I'm listening?
Well,
what would you take?
It's so hard to answer that question. It's because the Redskins pretty much set everybody up for failure.
They set the bar
of what people are going to take. So you're initially saying a Redskins type deal, which is 3 first-round picks, and I think 3 first-round and 2 second-rounds, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much saying, are you going to mortgage your team on the hope that to get Mariota? Which, let's be honest, Mariota's practically a project, and he's not going to be ready this year. Not the first 8 games. You want him to sit and learn what the NFL is like, because he did not play in the NFL system. So, for them to get picked up, I think the Titans will be willing to listen to the Jets because they're right there at 6. And so it looks like somebody's going to trade up for Mariota. So you're going to have to make a move now. It's going to take 3 first rounders. It's pretty much going to take the same package, because that's what the Redskins got. And no other team's like, if you're not going to give me that, somebody else will. So it's going to take the possible. I really don't think they should do it. If they should just go with whoever drops. If they can make something that helps both parties and both sides and not set your team back, then of course you make that. But if you're going to pretty much gamble on, your team on 5 picks, you got to think about this, is that you're playing in the division where the Patriots are. and Bill Belichick. And do you really want to be 5 players behind Bill Belichick?
And he knows where your weaknesses is. So
and that's initially what you're saying. And this is a new coach, new GM.
Exactly.
And so you really put him in a hard position, So I think what they're going to do, if they can't make a splash how they want to, I think they're going to go up and get Dante Fowler, the linebacker, edge rusher. So to strengthen up that defense and pretty much rely on the defense. The running back I was talking about from Boise State, second round, Jay Ajayi, I think Ajayi, Boise State. You're talking about great hands, great running, Boise State offense. So pretty much was a workhorse. You see Doug Martin, and pretty much almost the best running back available in that second round because that's what they need. Chris Johnson really didn't work out the way they thought it would be, and just running back by committee just didn't work for them. And so you don't know who you're going to have at quarterback. I think they're going to go offensive lineman third, try to get another receiver. Cameron Clear, another guy they were talking about, A&M. He's more of a 6th, 7th round pick from A&M. But just in the beginning, I think they're going to go on needs because, honestly, somebody may trade up for that 6th spot. Mm-hmm. But you're really going to have to do your work. And is Marcus Mariota worth being 5 players behind Bill Belichick? And that's who you're playing for. You're playing to beat the Patriots. So it's a tough call for me to say that they should do it. So I think they'll pass on him and maybe pick up another quarterback. But Geno Smith is done. I think this is his last year with the team. He's pretty much going to have to show himself, and if not, they're pretty much going to go for somebody next year, or hopefully one of these guys they pick up in the second or third round. One of these other quarterbacks works out for them.
All right. So hopefully they can make it work. Hopefully one of those quarterbacks. Or I really hope Geno Smith is able to pull it out. Who knows? There can be miracles when you believe. Shout out to the Prince of Egypt. But anyway,
Geno Smith or EJ Manuel? Who you got?
Who do I have?
Neither.
That's tough.
What are you saying, Tim?
That's tough, man.
I'm telling you, if one of those teams gonna have a better record. So who you putting your bank on? EJ Manuel or Geno Smith?
Can I use a lifeline?
I'm about to phone a friend.
Hey, honestly, if we're gonna answer that question, I'll go Bills. Just not even EJ Manuel because I don't think he'll be the starting quarterback.
Overall, his team.
I'll go Bills because
quarterback there.
Because look what they did. Look what they did with Kerry Collins. Well, not Kerry Collins.
Kyle Orton.
Yeah.
That defense was. Nobody wanted to see the Bills defense.
Mm-hmm.
And you initially have a defensive coach who, let's be honest, Rex Ryan is going to get any defense up ready to play.
Exactly.
So
he just has to be able to manage the game. I think
he can't do that.
Just no turnover, man. Go out there.
That's the main problem. He's turnover prone. So you telling a turnover prone quarterback to not turn the ball over, you're talking to Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Hey man, I'm just the messenger. Look.
It's all good, man. I say my favorite AFC East team for last, the Miami Dolphins.
Oh man,
got more Aggies on there than probably any NFL teams ever signed. So that's all good. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I almost said that. Ryan Tannehill is down there in South Florida. Just another year, just close, but not enough. What do they need to do to get themselves over the top come draft day to finally really push themselves into the playoffs? And same thing like these other quarterbacks. Ryan Tannehill, has he shown enough to say to you, okay, a few more pieces and he's got it going? I'm gonna leave it to the trifecta.
Exactly. It's kind of tough with him having the 14th pick. You really don't know what direction they can go in. It just depends on who's going to drop. A few names that could be available. You got Trey Waynes, who could solidify their cornerback position because
stud.
Yeah, he is a stud. Trey Waynes is a stud. Brent Grimes is getting pretty old. I'm sure he's about 30, 32. Mm-hmm. I think his best seasons are behind him. You got a ball hawk like Laron Collins. And you got to get somebody back there. The only reason I keep saying defensive back because Ndamukong Suh is going to shut down the entire top 7. I mean, the linebackers going to be able to swarm around. Sue's going to be taking on double teams, so somebody got to be back there catching those picks. If they don't go with the defense, I think they'll have to solidify the wide receiver position. I mean, other than Jarvis Landry, you don't know who the receiving core is with them trading away Mike Wallace. So whatever one of those talents is going to be there, like a Devontae Parker, maybe Amari Cooper could fall. You just never know. Kevin White, one of those receivers there, and they need someone that can stretch over the top, especially in that division. Tannehill got a good arm, but if he don't got nobody to throw it to, then you're wasting it.
Now for you, Timothy, it's kind of the same thing, and we're from both of y'all. Now Tannehill's there obviously, and Ndamukong Suh. When you think about their draft plan, also want you to answer: is this the year that they make the playoffs? Is this the team with the best chance to take down the Patriots in what is indeed, as DeMarcus said, a wide open AFC East?
And that was going to be my last key point. I think they truly have all the people. They had a hell of an offseason. I mean, bringing Sue in, that solidifies everything. Now you're bringing in a player that they compare to J.J. Watt, and this is a franchise player. So you bring in a team that had a winning record last year, and you add in a franchise defensive lineman who is going to disrupt Tom Brady. He's going to disrupt E.J. Manuel. He's going to disrupt Geno Smith. He's going to be disruptive. So now you only have to put the key components around the offense. That's why I say you get him some pass catchers, or maybe even a running back in the second round. They could get Duke Johnson. They can bring him in. He's a Miami product. That seems like a no-brainer if you ask me. Duke Johnson, T.J. Yelder, second round, and you bring somebody in to solidify the running back position because you wasted your money signing Norshon Moreno. Yeah. And you get next to nothing out of what's the running back name who they keep waiting to evolve? He's a speedster. It's right there.
Thomas.
Daniel Thomas? It's another one too. But they're just not getting enough production out of the running backs to take the load off of Tannehill. So you bring in a receiver, you bring in someone that can replace Mike Wallace, you bring in someone that can run the ball, because now you have a solid defense, and the Patriots on the decline, the Jets are rebuilding, and Buffalo Bills, you don't know what you're going to get out of E.J. Manuel. This could be the year that they finally win a division that they haven't won since they had Ricky Williams.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I think the Dolphins have the best chance to make the playoffs or, beat the Patriots just on the simple fact that they have the second best quarterback in the division.
Easily.
So you just think about where the drop-off is. And Ryan Tannehill, regardless, you may not like his full delivery and, his offensive capabilities, he's progressed every year and only getting better. I think he had a 3,000, almost 4,000, close to 4,000 yard passing season this year. Lowered his interceptions, and he can move outside the pocket. So he's really progressing and really making strides. Like I said, for that defense, I think they're going to try to go and help Sue. I see them picking up maybe, and it's, like you said, it's 14 pick. So you're right there in that top 15. You almost go best player available, or you can go multiple directions because some guys fall, some guys you don't know who gets up for the trade. So I would see them maybe taking. I think they may go defense first, honestly. A couple of names I'm seeing is the linebacker from UCLA, Eric Kendricks. He's really high on a lot of people's list. Once again, top 5 linebackers. But I will say, if they did have a weakness, it's somebody to help Pouncey on that offensive line. He's the anchor, but everybody else is just here and there. You took a lot of hit with the incognito, and you practically lost 2 offensive linemen during that whole ordeal. And so, and especially with the Bills in your division, you're going to have to bolster up the offensive line because the Bills are just getting better.
I'm looking at their schedule, man, and this is going to be probably the main reason they can sneak off with this division. Look at their start. First week, Redskins. Second week, the Jaguars. Third week, the Bills. Fourth week, the Jets. Bye week, Titans, then Texans, then the Patriots. So they don't see the Patriots until week 8.
And so
in that stretch, they could easily go 5-2 in that stretch. Easily.
Also, they don't see the Patriots until week 8.
And then they don't see the
Patriots again till last game.
Yeah,
at home.
So
they've always beaten them. By the way,
perfectly set up to be the Dolphins' year. They just got to take advantage of their easy schedule. They got to win those games. You have to beat the Redskins. You have to beat the Jags, and you got to take out those first 2 division games. hey, then you have a legitimate chance to take away this division.
If you lose to the Patriots at Week 8, you don't have to worry about that because you're going to see them again at home.
Exactly.
And that's when literally, that win is going to be big. End of the season is just bigger. Yeah. And if you can win out, that win could help you get a wild card.
Yes.
So, they really have it in their favor. Like I said, they have the second best quarterback in the division. They're literally an offensive line, cornerback, receiver, just somebody to help. Yeah, and
playmakers. Yeah, that's it.
And you're talking about, I understand, you compare them to J.J. Watt, Dominican Sue, but anybody with football knowledge and football, just common sense knows that if J.J. Watt is number 1, Dominican Sue is 1A.
Yeah. Easily.
He is a game changer. He literally bolstered your defense.
You don't give $60 million guaranteed to a bum.
No, not even
guaranteed. This is money that you have to give up front. This is upfront escrow. You don't give away $60 million guaranteed to a player that you don't expect to come in and be a franchise player. You just don't do it.
And he doesn't get he gets the bad rep for being a dirty player, and which is some of it's true, some of it I understand. But
he just loves football.
One thing you don't see is that he gets a lot of stats. He gets a lot of stats that are not on the stat sheet. And
a player that I want to bring to mind, Jared Crick. He plays for the Texans. He was actually the running back for Ndamukong Suh when they was in college. Suh left 1 year before Crick left, and Crick's stats went down terribly. He even dropped in the draft. He was supposed to be a first round prospect. As soon as Suh left, he went undrafted.
Yeah, and that was the guy saying that he was better than Suh.
And that's the guy that said he was better than Suh. Suh left for 1 season. 1 season. They played together for 3. He left for 1 season, and the guy goes undrafted after being an All-American the season before. That's the kind of impact that Ndamukong Suh has on his team.
So, it's that division right now. They really have, they really have 3 playoff teams. If I consider Patriots, Dolphins, and Bills, because the Bills were 1 win away from being in that wild card spot.
Right.
Just because that defense alone, that front 7 is disgusting, and probably one of the best front. As they were playing, I believe they had the most. I think they led the defense. I think they led the league in defense. I think they were number 1 in defense last season, if I'm not mistaken.
They were,
or if not that, they led the team and led the league in sacks. So you talk about a front 7 that is, Marcel Darius, Martin Williams, and they're only just getting better. So, but they need a quarterback, and that's the biggest problem. So I can definitely see it being in the Patriots' year again, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Dolphins or the Bills make some splashes. Because, you never know who the Patriots are going to be. The Patriots don't win every year. They make it to the playoffs, but they could drop a couple of games where you will sneak into the AFC at wild card.
And Timothy, where do you see this division from first to last? How does this division shake out? Because this will be one of the more interesting ones in the 2015 season.
First to last, man. I'm not going to bet against Belichick or Brady, so I would have to put them first, with Miami coming in second behind them. The Bills third, and the Jets dead last.
I can agree with that.
Dead last, man. Dead last. Well, fellas, it's almost time for this Rockets game, man. Well, let's go and get that going. Let's go and check that out, and we'll have some thoughts on that on our next
Before we get out of here, I just want to give a special shout out to John Wall for putting up 12 and 10 at halftime, man. He really leading these Wizards. He stepped it up tonight big time.
Make it Earl Monroe proud, man. It's old school. Yeah.
Bradley Beal 16, 7 for 11. It's good to see them bounce back after a terrible game.
Yeah, especially a few weeks after Paul Pierce kind of challenged them as to whether they wanted to be good or great.
Right.
Also, if we're giving shout outs, I know we brought up his name for MIP Most Improved Player, but you're talking about that's his team right now, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, they leaned on
14 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's big time. But and that's the key about Chicago. They can do that now. Now they can let Jimmy Butler get his rest. Then they can put him in there now for key moments versus having him out there for 40 minutes and then he got to turn it on tired legs. That's the big difference you're gonna see with a healthy Derrick Rose.
So big shout out to Jimmy Butler. He huge, man. huge, and it's constantly rising. And before we go, also since we're heading out, kind of what's everybody's keys to the game for tonight's game, and see if our predictions are right tomorrow when we go back to talk about it. Be a little longer show than normal.
Oh, definitely, man. As far as tonight's concerned, Dwight Howard has to stay away from those ticky-tack fouls. That's going to be the main thing. If he get in early foul trouble, I see Dallas. I see them taking advantage of it tonight. Last time it seemed like they was overwhelmed because they planned for a team that had Dwight Howard. So when you match him up with Tyson Chandler versus putting someone quicker on Tyson Chandler, that kind of changes everything, especially on offense. So Dwight has to be able to stay in the game. He has to dominate the boards. James Harden, he has to knock down his open shots as well as facilitate. I'd love to see him have 11 assists again, but I'd rather see him score tonight and take the initiative and be more aggressive when it comes to knocking down his shots.
What about you, Tim?
I just think, as the market said, White's going to need to stay in the game. We're going to need to come through and not get those early good fouls that he gets. I also want to see what we're going to see from the one cast. We're in the Trevor Lee, so they get their job to do it throughout the series. They stepped up, they did what they need to do when it was time to do it. So we're just going to need them to do that all over again with Chandler Parsons and
Devin Harris
being out tonight. We're going to see a lot more of J.J. Barea.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true to that. And honestly, like I said, I'm not going to be homer based, but just being objectively, I want to see Monte Ellis have a huge game. And the reason why is that I want somebody to pressure the Rockets to see how they're going to step up in playoff basketball. Because, right now, the Mavericks really don't have anybody that's going to push them like that. Yeah, you got your Dirk Nowitzki and Monte Ellis sometimes, but I want to see if he hit that switch, because sooner or later, if you have big hopes for the Rockets and you want them to go to the Western Conference, who's going to follow? Who's going to follow Steph Curry?
Exactly.
Is it always going to be James Harden, or is James Harden, can he push that button when it's time to push the button?
I think you hit on a key point, because you always want to see someone that can match James Harden's point total at the shooting guard position, at least to just challenge him like, hey, I got more points for you. What you going to do, James? With him just strolling through the night as Monte Ellis just struggled all night, it gives a lot of confidence to James, but it's not always going to be like that. Somebody will outscore you eventually, and you have to see how he's going to respond when his opponent has more points than he has.
Definitely. So hopefully some of this stuff gets addressed. Like I say, you're going to hear from us tomorrow, especially when it comes to just seeing if he was right and seeing if the team progressed and got better, because, they didn't play a great game yesterday in definite spots. They didn't play a complete game, but they did great enough to win. And without
those threes from Corey Brewer, that would have been an entirely different game.
Yeah.
Definite game changer is Corey Brewer. Hopefully he does emerge as that third option that the Rockets that seems to be missing in recent playoff series. But let's go and check this out though. Take some notes, do what we do. Tomorrow night, guys? Tomorrow, or how y'all want to do it?
Tomorrow or Thursday. Whenever the best. We can do tomorrow or Thursday. I don't think anybody else plays tomorrow.
Just gotta see if Griffin available, because I know he want to chime in. He wasn't able to chime in last time. So if Griffin available,
whenever we get the full cast going, most definitely.
Yeah, hopefully he ain't got to sort clothes again or something like that. But yeah, that's how it's gonna do. Y'all boys stay on the line. We'll see y'all tomorrow night or later on this week. It's starting 5. We out.